Welcome back to my Super Metroid 100% item collection rate guide and walkthrough. In the last video, we took on Spore Spawn. Now we're going to go into the lower depths of Brinstar and take on Big Best Boy Kraid. Before we do that though, I need to collect two missile expansions I actually missed in the last video, because I actually looked up where they were. I'm going to be using a minor sequence break with the wall jump, which I actually watched a review and someone mentioned that they don't really elaborate this in the game, which is pretty interesting actually. So I'm guessing if you played the game long enough, you might have already been able to figure this out. There's just like I know there's like a sequence, we have to do like a wall jump back to back, but honestly it's probably the most satisfying thing you can do in a 2D game like this. It definitely makes it a lot of fun. It really sucks that Fusion kind of dumbed that down, but apparently Zero Mission brought it back a little bit, even if it's not as floaty, but it definitely does make some good stuff. Now, just to show how tricky this is, I've left this in because, you know, it will take a lot of practice, but thankfully once you get up here, you can get it. You're meant to come back later with the claw, whatever it is, the grapple beam, but it's really not that practical unless you have to use it. You're not going to really be seeing me use it unless I absolutely have to, because there are some areas that are just so devilishly designed that if you try to brute force your way through, like, bottomless pits with... I'm sorry, not bottomless pits. Pits with spikes in it, or even water, or even lava in one place, you're kind of fucked. But yeah, we're gonna go back to our previous room. Like I said, I had to look up a 100% guide just to see where we get this missile expansion. Which I'm like, oh, you're looking at where we have to find it, or something. It's like, well, give me a fucking break. That room is a save station, by the way, if you need to use it, but I wanted to assure that, you know, you don't really need it per se, but it's always has to have if you're not very good at this game, which it really isn't that hard. It's just, it definitely can be a little confusing at first, but it really isn't, like, as hard as people make it out to be. But there's this room that you can use, but those doors will close, and you can't run to them, which is actually going to be very important. I'll explain in a second, but you can't really do much here right now. You can go under here in order to kill these enemies for drops, but there's really no point. They're kind of weak sauce. God, I fucking hate that meme. Anyway, we're pretty much done here. We will come back a little later when we do cleanup, like I mentioned a little while ago. You know, there's one room with a I think a recharge station. Maybe from missiles though, but not that important since it's there's a room in there with like a bunch of these little bug lights, and touching them will actually make the room go darker. It can actually really fuck you over in one particular room, but we'll talk about that when we get there. But for right now, we are pretty much stocked as much as we can without doing some serious sequence breaking, which, again, I apologize for not using that, but these series of videos are meant to help people who are not, like, super familiar, but, you know, with enough strategy and practice, you can do some of these skips. Like, I will be showing a focal place so we can do bomb jumps, and particularly in one section where you do get the speed boost in this game, which is actually where you get it, but because it actually changes your health in this, I will show an alternative way to get to an area, which we will get a little later on. But go up this little pipe, well, actually crawl under it, because I guess there's like a block or something that's blocking your way. A statue blocks your way. Anyway, collect that missile. Now, do keep in mind that once you go through this door, you won't be able to come back until you get the wave beam, and that's not until Norfair, so you're going to be in here a little while. So make sure you collect everything you need to get before advancing. But thankfully, we are already stocked, well stocked, with the extra energy tank, which will be a massive help since, you know, at this point, you only have one extra reserve, so keep that in mind. And now we're approaching, as they call it, the new bridge. When you step on that platform, the blocks will disappear. What you're meant to do is actually run, but because the game doesn't really elaborate anywhere else unless you fucking look at the controls, this, I can imagine, will get a lot of people very much stuck. It's like the barrels from Sonic 3, but not as obnoxious, since, you know, it's like to say, try every button and see what works, or look at the controls on your manual, or obviously just look at the in-game controls. It really isn't that fucking hard. But, you know, someone like, oh, no it's not. I was stuck in there for 20 years. Okay. Anyway, we're in Lower Brinstar, which is actually my favorite, one of my favorite tunes in the game, next to Lower Meridia, surprisingly. Or whatever section Meridia it is, the one that's not shit. Or something. Anyway, There isn't much we can do here, so we're going to go ahead and open this missile door, which will actually allow us to get all our energy back. Which is very convenient because we took a lot of damage. I'm not going to really worry about like enemies for the most part in terms of taking damage, because I'll usually ever tank it or fill up if I need to. So if you're expecting no damage run, then well, you're sadly mistaken. And it's a really fucking stupid section of the game. Now, you have water slows down Samus, but if your fucking toe so much goes into the fucking water, she slows down significantly. And that's fucking retarded. I get that when you're in the water itself, yeah, it should slow you down, but it should not slow you down so much if your fucking toe ever so much as gracefully enters the waterverse. Fucking mad retarded. I hate it. It definitely will give one section a run for its money a little later, but another minor sequence break, if you want to even call it that. We're gonna get the phaser beam. However, this beam is essentially a more powerful version of our beam we have. Shoots a white, or not white, yeah, if it ain't white, it ain't right. Oh my God, please don't say that. It's a yellow beam that's, it shoots a yellow beam that does a little more damage than our regular beam, so we'll be using it for pretty much the rest of the game until we get the final beam. Which, it's not as decent, but it'll do the business. It still won't really take care of those little fuckers there that just grab you. They're very fucking annoying. We're gonna go from Meridian really quick, but there really isn't much we can do here besides look at this fucking tube, which, I swear to God, there was that fucking episode of Samurai Jack where he goes to like a fucking tunnel or some shit, and I swear to God, it gave me Super Metroid vibes. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, look at this shit. As I attempt to, bomb jump. I'll pull like a image of it or something. Just to avoid copyright, because fucking YouTube. Anyway, you can actually do a jump there if you want to get up there, but you have to do a pretty well-timed wall jump. But if you don't want to do that, you can either go to North Fair and get the high jump boots, which is kind of a stupid detour, but whatever. But we do have to go for here if you want to fight Kraid. And there is a room that we can't go into yet, which we'll be seeing in just a second. For some reason, it locks till you beat the boss, which I don't understand. At least just one room, though, so it's not too bad. But anyway, go through here, go up the door as I, for some reason, do a wall jump. Like, what the fuck am I doing? I was definitely not in the mood. There is a missile expansion here, which for some reason, not every ability or upgrade is marked on the map. Which, I really don't understand this. I'm so glad Fusion fixed that, but it really is fucking stupid how you have to essentially look everywhere. Like, it's in this room, but it's not marked on the map at all. Like, what the fuck? Like, could the people please fucking make up their mind what areas are supposed to be there or something? Like, I don't think it's gonna kill if you have a fucking dot telling you there's an item here or something. Like, it's just nonsense. I'm very much glad that Fusion Zero Mission made it absolutely standard to have a fucking circle on the fucking screen whenever an item is in there. And, of course, the classic dot when you collect it so you don't fucking worry if you miss an item or something. Speaking of item, there is a throwback in this area. You have a bunch of space parts, but they go down easy. I think you've heard them with the Spazer Beam, so don't worry about it. Shoot this little Kraid, which I think might be a reference to the original Metroid, where Kraid was like a little shit, and he was, you know, he was just a little fuck. Although he's actually pretty hard compared to Ridley, who is very easy, surprisingly. What fucking world we live in. But anyway, go through this door that's actually unlocked. Make sure you always check both doors when you kill all enemies, so you don't have to do that again. Very annoying, but it is part of the game, so do it. Fill up both your energy and your missiles. If you touch it and you don't see that animation, that means you are already full, so don't worry. That missile will not fill up your super missile, so be very careful. There is no super missile or power bomb fill up. You have to do that to ship. In fact, I'm going to have to do that a couple times. I actually ran out of power bombs at one point. It's not very fun. But anyway, shoot that door, and if you need to, go back and fill up like I did, because I'm stupid. Or actually, what I think I'm going to do actually instead is shoot this little enemy here with this tense music playing in the background as I fill up on my shit, which is surprisingly convenient. But once you're maxed out on items, go ahead and go into the boss room. Now, there is a way to actually defeat Kraid very quickly, but I fuck up because I think it's just to fire a charge shot, and then you can lob, I think, 4 super missiles, and it'll kill Kraid even before the roof comes down. Now, I guarantee you kids back then would be like, oh my god, when you saw this. But thankfully, this boss is actually pretty simple. So, shoot Kraid in the eye, and he'll open his mouth, and when he does that, you know, he'll be vulnerable to damage. So basically, what you want to do is shoot him in the eyes and then lob super missiles. I think it takes 4 to kill him with that. But anyway, there's a bunch of shit going on. It's like some fucking weird Toho game or some shit. It's really nothing to worry about. I don't think they do a lot of damage, so don't worry too much. It might be a little annoying, but you are given platforms. I think you can stand on those, I think, but I don't know. Yeah, you can stand on it. Okay, but, you know, just be mindful of the shit flying around and just lob missiles. Like I said, I usually kind of do this fight a little quickly because it's kind of a pushover. So once Kraid goes down with the screen going black in order to sync the sprite of him sinking down, which is actually pretty interesting. I actually recently learned that, which is kind of a cool little limitation back in the day, but creative liberty is at its best. Go ahead and grab the various suit, which you can use to go through hot areas. You know, feeling hot, hot, hot. You get this nice little background change, which is pretty cool. So we are pretty much done in this area. We only need to collect 1 energy tank, which will be in that room when I was locked before. But I just want to mention, I swear to God, if we have to fight fucking Kraid in his big ass form again in Metroid Dread, I'm gonna have to ask a lot of fucking questions. It's like, look, I get that Super Metroid is a great game, and so is Fusion, even though it's linear as shit, and Zero Mission is a great remake. But Metroid Samus Returns is a very shitty retcon, and we're finally gonna get a sequel to Metroid Dread. Like, can it just please have a solid conclusion? Like, I swear to God, like, fucking Devil May Cry 5, as great of a game as some are convinced as it is, has more questions than answers, and we're finally getting a sequel to Metroid Dread. Can we please not have more questions and answers or shit? Like, what about the fucking wrecked ship that's supposed to be in here? Like, seriously, there's so many fucking unanswered questions. Like, they don't have to go the route of, like, showing what Tao Kaka's face looks like, because they'll just kind of ruin the mystery, or, like, if they did a Toy Story where Andy found out the toys could talk, but, like, there's so many questions that people want to know, and it's like, if fucking Metroid Dread does not do this, it's gonna be just like fucking Devil May Cry 5 all over again. I don't want that. Nintendo is actually very promising in terms of Metroid Dread, even though their actions don't justify their bullshit whenever they take on a 2D Metroid game or some shit. You know, it isn't Nintendo's, technically, because they didn't fucking make it, so fuck you. But seriously, Metroid Dread has a lot of promise. I didn't really see a lot of it personally, but I swear to God, if they do this shit Devil May Cry 5 where they just don't have answers that people want, have been asking for years, it's going to be very disappointing. And I don't want it to be disappointing. It seriously will be like the Nintendo game of the year. But I'll talk a little more about that in a later streamer video. I just figured I'd get that out of the way. But that's going to be it for this part. Next time we're going to go into North Fair, and there'll be some trimming in there because I mess up a lot, but we'll get into that later. But thanks for watching, and you take care.